is the internet? Okay, here's a really sort of a standard definition of the internet. The internet is a network made up of computers all over the world, connected electronically by telephone lines, fiber optic cables, and other links. It is a network of networks. If you've ever heard the term Wi-Fi, which is wireless connectivity, the library system offers, free Wi-Fi service for our patrons to access our internet, even without necessarily being inside of the building. You can actually be in our parking lot and you can still access the internet that way. So Wi-Fi allows computers, smartphones, and other devices to connect to the internet or communicate with one another wirelessly within a particular area. And lastly, we have WWW, the web or World Wide Web. It's the part of the internet that uses text, images, sound, and video. It is huge and growing every day. So any website that you access, when you have your little URL bar at the top, you don't necessarily have to type www. You can just type google.com. It's the same address. Here's a good question. What can you do on the internet? Do you guys have
everything?
Just about everything. That's right. In terms of what you can do on the internet includes search for and access information, search for like keywords, even if it's a term that you might not be familiar with, you can always Google it or search for it in a particular search engine, and that definition of that term will come up. Or a name of a celebrity, a name of an athlete, a name of an author. Anything, of a politician, statesman. Use email, access social media, of course. Social media is huge. Different social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. Search for jobs. Indeed.com is very popular. But there are others as well. Shop for goods and services. Obviously, Amazon is a very popular retail website that you can access. I mean, literally, you can purchase anything from books to clothing, to electronics, home appliances, you name it. It's all available on the internet in general, but Amazon specifically. Amazon would only be an example. And Amazon, of course, is a company, and you would access the company's website by typing the URL address www.amazon.com. But those are some examples of what you can do on the internet. Now, what information can I find on the web? It could be specific to a city, like the city of Jackson, or a county like Hinds County, or the United States, or the world. Countless subjects and topics can be found on the web, but not everything on the internet. And this is key. This is very important now. Not everything on the internet is true. Always remember that anyone can publish something on the web. Information may not be accurate and sites may be offensive to some. Not everything is free, and always look for a secure site notification when you order something on the internet. There is a lot of fake news that exists on the internet. It does exist. A lot of disinformation and misinformation.
Yes.
So that's why you have to be extremely careful what you read and what sources you access. If you're writing a college paper, you're going to need to cite your sources. And there are some sources that you won't be, permitted to use, when you're writing your paper, because they're not, at the very least, just not reliable, oftentimes just not true. So that's why you have to be extremely careful, and it's extremely important to know first of all, what you're looking for and be able to access that information, and then know and realize that the information that you accessed comes from a very reliable resource. Like, Library of Congress, for example, would be a great example of that. That's an official government resource that's available for the public online. Whereas you might have maybe like a little independent alternative news outlet that has a lot of misinformation, that's not accurate, or that's in some cases purposefully trying to mislead the public. So you have to be extremely careful what you're looking at on the internet. And the same is true when it comes to purchasing items too. You want to make sure that it's a secure site and that you're not being taken advantage of in terms of making purchases. It's very, because you have a lot of hackers and people engaged in like phishing, internet phishing, and stuff like that.
Yes.
That can it can burn you. It could really hurt you financially unless you really know what you're doing and you're paying attention. You have to be extremely careful when receiving emails, and to make sure that those emails are legitimate and valid. And sometimes they show up, they appear, they seem to be valid. They're a little off. There's something different about them. Might be someone that you would know and the email seems to be that person's email. But then you look a second time, you look more closely, and it's not. You have different browsers, right? You have what I typically use is Google Chrome. Every now and then I use Mozilla Firefox. I don't really use internet like regular Internet Explorer anymore. It's kind of dated. Those would be examples of browsers. Safari would be an example of a browser. Any network like that you can access, which allows you, which permits you to surf the web and to look up information online. That would constitute a browser. Google Chrome has like that circle, it looks like a beach ball. It's a multicolored beach ball with a blue dot. You click on it, and then you can proceed in looking up whatever it is that you need to look up, whatever information that you need to find out. Web browser is a software program that allows you to see and read the information on the World Wide Web. Some popular examples of a web browser are Google Chrome. This is the browser used most by library staff because it is faster, more secure, and more user-friendly than some of the other internet browsers available. Mozilla Firefox, another internet browser that is user-friendly and includes some security features. The other two web browsers that I have listed, there are more than just these three, but these are the most popular three: Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and Microsoft Internet Explorer. If you're already in Google Chrome, you should see, it should come up with where it says Google. It should say, search Google or type a URL. And there's a magnifying glass next to it. In effect, you have two ways that you can surf the internet if you're looking for a specific site. If you're looking for a specific site now, like, for example, ESPN.com, right? What you can do is at the top, there's a long bar. You see where it says search Google or type a URL? What you need to do is click that with the mouse, move the mouse and position it to where it's directly over that verbiage. Click on it to highlight it. You can press backspace. We're going to access a website. Let's go to jhlibrary.org, O-R-G. Okay, so that would be an example of URL address. You can find it or access the website by typing www.jhlibrary.org, or you can do the shortcut version, which is just jhlibrary.org. Either way is fine. When you type jhlibrary.org, do you know what the org represents, what it means? So some websites you type .org or organization. In some cases, it's .gov for government. If it's a government website, like, whether it's, the United States or government in Jackson, Hinds County, state of Mississippi, it's going to end .gov. And then you have the most common, which is .com. .edu is another example. It signifies something that's educational. Most websites end with .com. Okay, now we're going to go to internet service providers. An ISP, internet service provider, is the company you pay to gain access to the internet through your computer. They will give you a browser to use. Two common ISPs are Comcast and Verizon. Those aren't the only ones, of course. Those are just two of the more common ones. Remember when you pulled up the browser, when you pulled it up, the page that came up, the initial page, which was Google, and they had the search bar right below it, where you can search for whatever it is that you're looking for. That would be an example of what's called a home page. What you're looking at right there would be an example of a home page. That's the Google home page. Also, when you went to the library's official website, jhlibrary.org, when you pulled it up, the page that came up is the Jackson Hinds Library's official homepage. So like every website has a homepage, whether it's ESPN, Jackson Hinds Library System, State of Mississippi, Yahoo, Google. So whenever you type the address, whether it's google.com, yahoo.com, espn.com, the site or the page that it directly takes you to, those would be examples of a home page. A home page could be two things: the introductory or first page of a website, also the page set to load when opening your internet browser. You can customize this to whatever page you choose. So for example, when you access Google Chrome, the page that came up when you clicked on the icon, that page that came up would be, as I mentioned, that would be an example of a home page. And that is like the sort of the introductory or the opening page for whenever you access the internet. You can change it to something else. Like if it's set to www.google.com, if you want to change it to say yahoo.com instead as your main homepage, whenever you click on the Google icon, the Google Chrome icon, you can do that. Whatever website, usually it would be a website that you most frequent or one of the websites that you most frequent. The address bar is located at the very top of the, when you go into Google Chrome, for example, you should see an address, a bar at the very top of it, of the page. That would be an example of an address bar. Go into Google Chrome, go to the main page, which should be google.com, and you should see, for example, if you type www.jhlibrary.org at the very top, what you see there at the top there, that bar, that's an example of an address bar. And then like you type the website, for example, in this case, a library's website, www.jhlibrary.org, and it will take you to the library's main page, homepage. The address bar is a text box in a web browser displaying the address of the web page that is currently being viewed. That is, it stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. It is and that is basically the beginning. It's the extension of the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it's used as a secure communication over a computer network. And it's widely used on the internet. It's sort of like authentication code when accessing a website. Most websites that you access will have that at the beginning. So let's go to now scrolling. Now, when you're scrolling up and down a page, for example, are you guys familiar with doing that?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done it before.
Yeah.
And you just use the mouse and you scroll, up and down to, like, when you're reading, like if you're on like a particular website, you're reading an article or something like that, you can use the mouse just to scroll down to continue to read whatever it is that you're reading. It allows you to move up and down and side to side as well. You can move side to side on the page as well, not just up and down. And you may use the mouse, or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. There are some arrow keys and they point up, down, left, and right. And you can use those arrow keys to navigate the website as well and to scroll up and down, left or right. Now, I just mentioned this about protocol. A protocol is a set of rules used to retrieve a specific document. Now, the HTTP is our URL refers to is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Then www, which of course refers to to the World Wide Web. But as mentioned, you can search for a website just by typing, say, if you want to search Google as a prime example that we're using here, Google and the library's website, jhlibrary.org. You can search for any website without typing the HTTP, the colon, the slashes, and then www, or just www. It's much easier that way, more efficient, just to type google.com or jhlibrary.org or yahoo.com, whatever the particular website might be. Well, hyperlinks, like a link, to a website, like, for example, the link that I shared with you for the Zoom meeting. Have you ever noticed that certain words on the web look a little bit different? Whenever you see a word or phrase that's underlined in blue, it's probably a hyperlink, or link for short. You might already know how links work, even if you've never thought about them much before. Sometimes you'll find a link, as I mentioned, attached to another website that will take you to that website. Like, for example, on ESPN.com, you might find a link that will take you to the New Orleans Saints official website, or the New Orleans Pelicans, or the Tampa Bay Rays, or whatever. Now, connecting to the internet, you have different connections like dial-up and broadband, ESL. Broadband would be a lot like dial-up, for example, is old, like really, really old, slow, cumbersome. It's really not very reliable. Whereas like a broadband connection, for example, is quick, rapid, more reliable as well. Dial-up is not really in demand that much anymore. It's sort of old and really a thing of the past. Some people still use dial-up, but it's not as common. We're going to search for something here. What we did earlier, of course, is we just typed a certain URL website address at the top We're going to search for something now. We're going to search for, let's go with a certain keyword. You should see where it says Google in different colors. Right below it, there's a bar with a magnifying glass. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to activate the cursor, which is that blinking line, which allows you to type something. We're going to search for music. So you're going to type music and then press the enter button, the enter key. Okay, now what came up for you? What was the first link that came up?
The music channel, YouTube.
That's right. That's the same for me as well. That was the first link that came up. Okay, well, thank you so much for your participation. You all have a great day. Look forward to seeing you again.